Donnie B, GotDaBeats.
Good afternoon, world. This is Donnie B. Got the Beats. We live on the beat, live on the beat. This is our special Mother's Day edition. Happy Mother's Day out to all y'all special moms out there. You guys deserve y'all day. Y'all deserve y'all credit and y'all flowers for sure. So this episode today is a very unique one for me because I get to interview family. This is family. Every single person on here is blood family. We ain't like cousin. That's my cousin. And for real, we ain't related. He's my cousin. This is my cousin over there. This is my sister over here. And we're really about to chop and keep it G. See, Ruthie already ready to start joking. No, it is what it is. But so without further ado, I usually do the glorious intro, but I don't need to do that because it's family. We just go dive straight into this. I like to introduce, first off, a BSN CMSRN Assistant Nurse Manager, Eboni Morales, down there.
Hi, guys.
What up, cuz? And then we also got host and interior design, Ruthie Renee. She's my guest host today. Oh.
That one for you though, Donnie.
Indeed. So how you guys doing today on Mother's Day? What's like for you?
Eboni, would you take the floor on this one? I enjoyed Mother's Day. This morning I went to brunch with my mom, which was good. Blessed to have my mom because you can appreciate it when you only have one parent. I'm sure y'all get it.
Yeah.
So it was good to spend Mother's Day with her, spend Mother's Day with the kids, which is also great. So I'm happy. I'm blessed. I'm healthy. I woke up this morning. Somebody else didn't. So that's good enough for me.
Man, that's exactly where we need to be at. That's what I'm saying. I vibe with that. And shout out to Arlinda too, by the way. What's up, Auntie? I know you about she about to
She done turned into one of my kids now that she done got older. I gotta keep my eye on her.
You always gotta keep your eye on Arlinda.
Mm-hmm. But it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Indeed. So Ruthie, how about yours?
Mine is the complete opposite of I tell you that. I was puffy this morning at the start. Steve has me out there.
Your audio going in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I said Steve has me working Thursday.
Oh.
So
wow.
I had a chance to sit down. As you can see in the background, I'm not even in the house.
I get it. Well, shout out to Steve Seafood, and I know he's doing this thing with the crabs. We're gonna get him on the beat real soon too. Make sure you get them Mother's Day crab specials. I'm sure he'd probably work out something for you after Mother's Day too. So make sure you support Steve Seafood, and shout out to Steve's mom for Happy Mother's Day as well. So let's get into this, ladies. Let's talk facts. Let's start with you, Eboni. Who is Eboni Morales?
Ooh. So Eboni's a mom. She's a nurse. She's a daughter. She's a friend. She's an aunt. She's a little bit of a spitfire. She's smart. But I'm trying to, I'm still changing over the years. I feel like at one age, maybe we start off one way, and as we get older, we change. I feel like the older I get now, the more I put on my plate. My husband be telling me, you're the only person I know finish one thing and then add 2 more things on top of it. Because I feel like now, not that my hustle has changed, because I always have had hustle, ambition, and drive, but now that I got older, I just want more for myself. Like, even though I'm in nursing, now I've been thinking about, how do I flip houses? You know, just all these other different avenues that I could take, because I keep thinking about generational wealth. Right? Like, a lot of times we work these jobs and you can make good money and then we get comfortable, but we don't get to that point where we're actually leaving things. I would love to be in an opportunity to leave things for my kids. So that's where Eboni's at now, and that's what I'm working on.
Okay. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Renee, what's up with you? Who is Ruthie Renee?
Well, of course, I'm your younger sibling, the youngest of them all.
Shout out to the babies.
Right. But no. I'm the youngest of, who we got? 4 of us total. I am a mom. I recently got out of the Army. I'm no longer in. I joined straight when I was 17, went straight in. And so being out now is kind of weird for me, because now everybody else had a chance to get their life together. Me, it was completely different. Now, who I am. I came in, I had creativity, painting, that's just by I suffer with PTSD, all from, and the way I deal with it, I would rather become creative. That's why period design, and that's more of a therapy for myself. That I'm son. I stayed in my and woman is spending time. So that's exactly where I'm at right now and who I am.
Okay. Awesome. Let's switch gears on this question. The next question up is growing up in. Eboni, you grew up in South Jersey.
Yeah, so I grew up in Vineland. I'm actually still in Vineland. I left but came back. South Jersey for me was kind of good because a lot of the families here, but you're not too far from everything where I'm living. So I'm close to Philly, Atlantic City, and then close enough to, go see family. In the summertime, it was cool to go down to Maryland and spend time with you guys growing up as a kid, because I feel like a lot of people I grew up with, they weren't really necessarily going anywhere in the summer times. But in hindsight, looking back, I'm glad I grew up where I grew up at, because it's so diverse and a lot of different, it's diverse enough to grow up as a kid to where you're having an open mind and you're not as sheltered because you've seen so many different type of people. But then as I got older and became an adult and came into the workforce of where, in my local community, I noticed it wasn't that diverse. So it was a good starting point as a kid and growing up as a teenager. But as you become an adult, you start to notice different things. And it's oh, I better edge ahead, or I got to do something extra that's going to have me stand out amongst the other people. Because it's a lot about who you know and, who you identify with. Here, it's once you get older, especially in the medical field, I don't want to say it's clicky, but sometimes you do move up based off who you know. And I'm never going to be that person.
Right.
I'd rather me have, you can say a lot of things behind me, but you can't take my credentials away. So you can have all the opinions you want, but I'm still going to stand alone off the stuff that I earn, versus I don't want something because you're oh, so-and-so. I don't those good for connections if you're saving money, but not when you want to work and people have respect for you.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up. I mean, you definitely came a long way for sure. I mean, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. A lot of people could take that kind of thing in a lot of different ways. But I mean, definitely watch you grow and mature and blossom into the person that you are. So it's awesome. It's a sight to behold, man. I mean, definitely very happy for your movements and everything that you've established for yourself. And we definitely gonna get into them credentials later on because they read like the alphabet. Like
Yeah.
it is.
And
Yeah.
I write them all too.
Hey man, you need to. If you got them, sure. Hey, I wish I would. Donnie B, DDS, DDLP. I mean, whatever. I don't know. I just threw that out there. Either or, I would myself. So, but definitely, like I said, very happy for you for sure.
Thank you.
Rudy, growing up in, what was I already know where you grew up, so let everybody else know where you grew up and share how you feel about that.
Growing up in Maryland. I'm gonna have to trade this one lightly, Donnie. Yeah, and so it's a mixture of good and bad experiences. If I can do it all over, I swear I would. But I grew up as a tomboy. I did. I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty. I wasn't afraid to get dirty. I wasn't afraid to beat you up. I wasn't afraid to tussle toss, whatever the case may be. Just a full blown daredevil. And and I practice on my brothers. He can tell you. Ain't that right, Donnie?
No, you practice on Uncle Brian more than you practice on me.
Whatever. No. But like he said, I do remember, being here in Maryland. Then we would travel up, go to Jersey. I would spend time with Eboni as well. We would share our birthday, Eboni.
Yeah.
Birthday together, the little balloons. I remember.
Yeah, the little balloon cake with the crown. Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I remember the sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Puppy pounds. Who had the puppy pound?
No, I think Brian had them, and I had the one with the gumballs on it.
Oh,
yeah. Brian had pound puppies, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember those days, and then of course, Philly and so forth. So having experience in all three of those areas just definitely played a significant part of my life. Again, I would do it all over again if I could. I can't, but I just hope that I can continue those experiences and I need Eboni, like I need to come up there and link up with you, go see the family in Jersey as well. I just like to, but I still love you. That ain't gonna change. That's my Virgo cousin.
Yeah. The love is always there, no matter where we get. It's just hard, life happens.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And even for Philly, now we got Donnie over there on the West Coast. I need to branch out there now.
Yeah,
I'm visiting family more, but it's like for me.
Yeah, and that's how it is. You know what I mean? And but again, like Eboni, I'm proud of your movements. Ruthie, I was proud of you when you went over there to Iraq. I was just like, man, you exploring parts of the world that I probably never get to see. You know what I mean? Regardless of how dangerous it is, you still did it. You said what?
Beautiful over there. I don't care what the media tell everybody and say it's dangerous, it's negative. You think of it like this: what if some random people just walk up in your neighborhood and they got guns and all kinds of stuff? You tell me you not?
Well, they do that anyway. I'm in LA.
With how them people felt, and those people, they're gorgeous inside and out, but they just defend theirs, and I respect it.
It's a very, very good lens to look at it through, and a lot can be said about that specifically. I mean, at the end of the day, we all are just people, and you got to look at the perspectives of people in any kind of conflict, because all this is just it's a perspective. That's really all it is. So, well, I see it this way. Well, I see it this way. Now we got to fight for it. People are dying over it. You know what I mean? So, more attention should be paid on Capitol Hill to look at it through that lens, but I digress, that part.
Yeah, I get you. Hey, brother.
Let's switch up topics. Eboni, back to you. How did you get into the medical field?
Yes, I want to get in there. Please tell me how.
So my mom used to tell me when I was little that I should be a nurse, right? And I didn't believe it because I would hear these stories like you got to spend time in the morgue, start thinking about the blood and like people dying and all that stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, Yes, I'm a nurse, but I do not like when people die. It is like the hardest thing for me because what you have to do taking care of them once they pass. So before I even thought about it, I was like, all right, let me do a little bit of research. So initially, because I was in the dental field, I wanted to do, become a dental hygienist. So the prereqs are remotely the same. So I was like taking them. And then a lot of my friends finishing hygiene school weren't able to get jobs. So I was like, all right, I got to like revisit and think about this because there's no point in going to school for something you can't get a job. So that has always been in my mind. And then, like, my dad died. So, long story short, to make it the quickest way possible, my dad, he came out of the hospital December 2nd. 12 days later, he died, December 14th. So I remember having those conversations, like sitting in the room with the family. You know, I'm the youngest, so it probably came across bratty when they were like, oh, we're going to make Robert a DNI. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? You're not going to save my dad. Like, you can't tell me that you're not going to be able to save him. Like, we're all going to talk about this. Like, where did you come at? And then the doctor took the time to explain, like, he's not going to have the same quality of life that he had beforehand. You know, he had extensive cardiac history. He's not going to be himself. So because another person was able to tell me and explain it to me, I was like, you know what? It would be selfish for me to want him here. Even though he was supposed to start chemo that Tuesday, it didn't happen. But he died so fast, it like shook me and changed me. And then in hindsight, looking back, if I had the medical knowledge I had now, I would have been able to push my dad. I remember at Easter, he had this cough. And I was like, damn, dad, like, you got this cough. This doctor's not doing anything for your cough. Like, what do you mean? Like, and I know he would go. In my heart of hearts now, like, maybe he didn't know he was sick and maybe he didn't want to address it. I knew he knew before I did. But if I had known then, I would have pushed the issue. Then Thanksgiving came and I noticed like my grandma would always bake things and he wasn't eating. Like, I looked at his plate and he didn't eat. And I was like, why aren't you eating? Like, this isn't like you. So then a few days later, I never forget, I was having problems. I was in my apartment and I was having problems with the cable, but I had to work. So my dad's like, oh, I'll sit over there. But then after he left, I didn't hear from him like for a whole day, which I know that probably sounds weird to people, but literally my dad was like my best friend. I talked to him several times a day. It was really strange to people. Like, you talk to your dad all this time? Your dad got a key to your apartment? That's weird. And I'm like, I don't care. You must don't love your dad, but I love mine. Like, that's how I felt. So then I found out he went into the hospital. So I was like, well, why'd you go to the hospital and you didn't tell me? Like, you know, I was like, if you were sick, like, I would have took you. So then he comes home, and then once I went to visit him, he came home on a Sunday. I went to see him on Tuesday, and he knew, like, he was going to pass. He gave me all this money to give to everybody for Christmas. I was like, why do you want to give me this money? Like, Christmas is a few weeks. And he was like, it's going to be a sad year for everybody. Once I had left, I started freaking out. And I called my aunt, called my grandma. I'm like, there's something wrong with him. Like, he's not talking like himself. This is not my dad. I never heard him say, like, he was afraid to fall asleep. He wasn't worrisome about anything. But again, had I had that medical knowledge, I would have been able to intervene and really like push the issue. Like, I feel like if I known, I at least could have like snuck up at a doctor's visit or tried to do something or get more information like when he was in the hospital. And then that Wednesday, I kind of thought it was cancer. Then Thursday, he was in the hospital, it confirmed. And then Friday, he died. And then like even with G, like when she was born, she had 2 holes in the septum of her heart. So her 15th day, she got diagnosed with like VSD. And I remember like calling my mom and I was like, Mom, it's Labor Day weekend. Her first doctor's checkup. And the lady was like, I hope you don't have plans. You got to go to the hospital. So then we go to CHOP. And I got tired of, well, hold on, let me call my mom. Or let me call this person. Like my best friend's mom was a nurse. Let me call this person and get all these answers. So I was like, forget this. I'm going to educate myself. Because if you really don't know anything, and I know it now, like talking to my patients, these doctors will come in there, bust in the room, they tell you something, you walk out. And the family's confused, the patient doesn't know a lot of the things they're talking about because they don't talk to them at people. It's a difference between talking to people and then like talking to them and talking at them. They're just sitting there like a deer in headlights having not a clue what was going on. And that was me. And I was like, nope, I'm never going to feel that way again. I'm going to educate myself so I know like what's going on. Mm-hmm. So that's what made me become a nurse because I used to get teased. Like I remember working in a dental office and my mom used to tell me, well, old people get older sometime. They don't have no money. They buy dog food so they can survive. And I was like, nah, like they wouldn't do that. And she's like, yeah. And I remember this little couple that I knew would come in, older couple. And I looked in their car. I was like, dang, you got a lot of dog food. And he was like, well, it's rough for us this month. And I was like, rough? Like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, well, we don't really have a lot of money. So I'm going to keep it 100. At that time, I was working there. I was working in the dental office. I was working part-time at the hotel. However, it did not sit right in my soul to watch these people who were the sweetest people ever try to eat this dog food. So I took it out and got some meat and was like, no, you're going to have like regular food. Like I'll help you the most I can. Because worst case scenario with me, I knew it was enough people. I call them the village. Somebody's going to make sure at the time it was just me and G that she's going to eat. But they were really about to eat this and it bothered me. But the next day I went to my boss and I was like, no, you got to give them that money back. And we got to put them on the payment plan because this isn't right. Like the whole month, all their money for the month is gone. Like they don't have it. So they used to always be like, you're like the Mother Teresa for like old people and kids. And then so I thought about it like, dang, if I'm like this just with people helping them with their teeth, imagine what I could be as like a nurse, like really helping people. Mm-hmm. So that's my story. That's why I got here.
I actually thought your story, you're interested in the medical field. For whatever reason, I thought it about.
Really?
Yes, but to hear Bobby,
yeah. But I was always afraid. I feel like when I was younger, I was like more afraid of things. And I don't really know why. Because then once I tried it, it's like, oh, that's not bad. Or like I can really do it. And maybe it was like the fear of other people. Because like when you learn, and I learned over the years, doesn't matter who it is. Sometimes you start telling people things you want to do in life, right? And I'm like, well, if you want to do that, or like when you and the people you surround yourself with, as long as y'all all on the same evil playing field, it's okay. But once some other people start going like a little bit further, or they start changing things, then you'll notice like who really supports you and thinks it's a good idea. Yes. All those cheerleaders, they dwindle away really, really quick when somebody else is exceeding. And I'm the type of person like, oh, you want to do X, Y, and Z? Let me help you. Like if I can help you, I'll try. Like it's good. Like a lot of the younger nurses I work with, like I'm like, yo, that's great. Keep up the good work. You should do this. You should do that. Because like when I was fresh off orientation and stuff, they weren't nice to me. They had this expression, nurses eat their wolves. Well, they had ate me the hell out and spit me out a few times. And I was like, I would never treat people like that. Because then when you look at it, it's like if you're treating somebody and trying to see if they'll fail and they're taking care of patients, like what kind of person are you?
Right.
You gotta like help support people. And now with like everything else going on, it's like it's so much, you put so much more effort in being like rude and nasty. Like I don't even like to be that person. I could get there, but I don't want to be that person because I don't like feeling like now I'm all angry and I'm frustrated because that ain't getting me nowhere.
Right. I understand. It definitely makes a lot of sense what you're saying. I mean, and I think that's the thing. The key to life is compassion, man. You have to have understanding. What they say, you listen with your ears and not with your mouth. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people these days is everybody's so quick to speak their mind. Oh, all right, or you're not about to one up me, or you're not about to run me over, and so forth and so on, when you're not really listening to the point. You're not really listening to or seeing what's right in front of you that's actually happening. And then, then you have these rogue narratives that just start creating conflict. So, I applaud you for being that person. And, more you get more things solved that way.
Yeah.
Being that way than you would any other way. And I think that's the thing. And you get people like, and I'm sure you can understand this, when you in the industry, you have people at work and you have people who care.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's unfortunate, especially when it comes to being doctors and stuff like that, because you would think that people would they respect quality of life, they respect, they want to do their job to keep people living, like Grey's Anatomy, but it really isn't Grey's Anatomy. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
save for the elevator romances and so forth and so on, but you would want to think that people have that thought process, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people just come in to punch the clock, get the check, go home.
Oh yeah, and you see it. And the thing is with me, like if I don't do the right thing, I'll take that home. And I don't want that. Like when I leave that job, I want to like be able to leave, go to sleep, and know that okay, I didn't left that hospital behind, and now I'm home. And that place don't have nothing to do with my home. So that's why I'm always like, I got to do the right thing, and remember, like everybody there is somebody something.
Yeah.
You done been somebody's parent, a grandmom, your sibling. I don't even care if you're like lonely and all you got is an animal at home. Somebody's waiting for you to come home.
Right. Yeah.
Now I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You on the school for the nursing field, you had to have a support system in place because you were a mom at that given time, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about my support system. So initially, when I was in nursing school, at the beginning, so just to give a backstory, I was an LPN first, and then I became an RN, right? So I like transitioned straight into my RN program. So at the LPN program, I started school. A few weeks later, I closed on my house. That was a bad idea. And then at that time, I was married to my ex-husband. And then anything in this world that you can think of went wrong during nursing school could have went wrong. So my mom at this point was like helping like babysit the kids. But I was like taking so much stuff in that nobody really knew like what was going on. Like some of the people I work with at school, I went to school with, they knew something was wrong. And like my coworkers, but I did a really good job hiding it from my family and like people who had to see me all the time. So everything fell apart and I had to like really depend on my mom. So during this time period, my whole entire marriage and stuff was like falling apart. I really don't know how I finished that program because the day of my finals, and I had told you Donnie that day we spoke, I literally was taking this test routine. I remember Scantrons back in the day. The final exam, they made us do an Scantron so nobody could cheat. My whole Scantron was saturated. And she was like, I feel bad making you fill this out again, but I need you to fill it out. And I was just like, I didn't think I was going to finish. But with that being said, thank God I had a really good support system because when things happen, like things happen out of my control, like the one day to explain to you how stressed out I was at work and I was looking at watching the heart monitors. And I was literally in there like, oh, like I can't see. I'm seeing like these black spots. And so I went to my manager and I was like, I'm having a hard time seeing. So then she checked my pulse and she was like, like I really can't read it. Did my vitals, my blood pressure was through the roof. It was like 200s over 100 and something. And I go down, she was like, I got to take you off the floor. Like you can't work like this. I have to take you to the ER. So I go to the ER and and they had to give me this medication to wind up like stopping my heart to get it to reset. So After this, I do all this follow up. I went into this rhythm called SBT. It's like bad. My heart rate was like 180s or whatever. I felt like I was like going to throw up, like literally felt like your heart is like punching through your chest. So I had to get this medication. But my old location I was at, because this happened at work and I got cleared from cardiology, and he was like, this is all stress. If you don't get yourself together, like if this happened by myself, I couldn't get myself anywhere, like you could die when you go into these, these abnormal rhythms. So then I was like, oh crap, like I'm gonna fool around and die, and it'll be somebody else like raising my kids, or this fool's gonna be running around the streets living his happy go life, and then I'm gonna be down in the ground.
Yeah.
So the deal for me to go back to work was, they were like, since they figured out it was stress, you got to go see a therapist. And therapists for Black people, what? You going to go see a therapist? Well, pray about it, right? Or worship them, right? That's what they say. You better pray. You better pray. Sometimes you need more than prayer. I'll tell you that. And I'm a firm believer of prayer. But when I went and talked to this woman, and I had initially went there, like I felt ashamed, right? But it was so nice to talk to somebody who did not know me, did not have any opinions. She was just like, tell me what's going on in your life right now. And then I realized at that point, like, dang, I really am an anxious person. Like, oh crap, you do have anxiety. Mm-hmm. And like all these other different things she told me. But when I got out that appointment, I'm telling you, I was calling every damn person that would listen. Girl, I went to therapy. It was great. And da-da-da, and this is that. And it was like this light bulb went off. And it was like, oh, you don't got to take this crap. So now I had like a whole plan. I was like, I had called my mom. I was like, Mom, yeah, can you come over? I just want to talk to you. And she was like, well, came over. And she was like, what's going on? I said, well, you know how you always say you'll do anything for me and the kids? I'm going to need a lot of support because I'm going to get a divorce. And that itself is life-changing because, when you say you want to get a divorce, it does not matter what the person did to you. People don't see that. It becomes like the judgment. Oh, but did you pray for your marriage? I'm not praying for no cheaters. Not happening. When I pray to the Lord at nighttime, I'm not wasting my prayers on that. If you don't want to do right by me, just go by side yourself. And then you get all the people who are like, well, I knew and I had seen. Well, if you knew and you had seen it, where was you at with those eyes, and why weren't you telling me? But you care about me so deeply. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So that was such an eye-opening experience. I needed people. Like, it seemed like I got older and I need my mom. I'm like, what's going on in my life now? I'm older. And now I need my mom more than anything. So then once I finished my LPN program, my teacher was like, oh, are you going to finish? And I was like, no, I'm just going to stop here. And then she was like, why? And I was like, well, because I have kids. And she was like, right, you had kids this year. But I knew what my plan was. And I knew I wasn't going to stay. So then she was like, well, what is going to change? And then I thought about it. And I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm going to do it. So I finished school in August, and then I started RN in January. And I finished and I made it. And I don't really know how I made it. It was definitely a lot of prayers by the grace of God and family and my support system. Because my friends who would get up in the morning and help me and take my kids to school so I can get the clinicals or get to school on time. And that's people who really wanted me to win and showed up and didn't. If they knew everything was falling apart around me, I never heard it from anybody else. And those are the relationships in life you have to value. Because if it wasn't for them, it's not just like I'm the nurse. Like, I feel like when I finished nursing school, I was only the nurse because my mom helped me become that nurse. Because like my friends and certain people and family like prayed for me and was like, oh, I know things are bad, but you're pushing through, like you could do it. That's the reason why I'm a nurse.
And I think that's amazing. Like, I really have, that has always been my passion. Actually, I wanted to be a surgeon. I love none of that is glory to me. Like, I love it. But I went, to the military, and my support system was my family too. My mom helped raise my son. And at the end of the day, even though I got out, I still want to go to medical school, but I don't want to go anymore. And I lost time I don't
Yeah.
know that, but I miss important time frames and I could that it was a dream that I had, and that was part of my but I really would but I this time again, missing the important fact, whatever's going on for my family.
Yeah. And I understand what you mean, because I feel like for me, so when I got my iron program, the main thing is like once I knew I got a divorce, I knew I was going to have to do everything by myself financially. So I was like working 3 jobs, and it was the guilt of like working 3 jobs and going to school. And the kids spent a lot of time with my mom, right? And then it would be like, oh, mom, you got to work again. Oh, or this or that. And so I will always think like, just let me get to the end and you'll see like why I'm doing this. Because I didn't want to be the person who, when something happens, then you notice like, damn, people are moving back with their moms, or like they don't have a place to go. Like I didn't want nothing for them to change at all. And that was important to me. So that's why I did it. But now that's why I try to do things with them and spend that quality time, because I always say if I learn anything from like losing my dad, especially younger, you gotta value the relationships with people that you like. And if it's something that's not good for me, like I always say, like I said, a lot of people didn't know what I was going through, and I never wanted to be like, oh, poor me, poor me. But it was like at some point I had to hold myself accountable too, because I stayed longer than what I had to stay, right? So like, yeah, it sucks. Like I don't feel like I deserve the things that happen to me, but then at a certain point, it was like, this is going to be your life. This is why you're not telling nobody what's going on, because you know in your heart of hearts you shouldn't be staying in this situation. So that's why you're internalizing and dealing with all this nonsense, because it's like embarrassing. And if you don't move, people don't want to know about it. Like you can't tell people things that are really bad and then expect them to still sit down with these people when they know all your business, because it backfires.
Let me ask you this, Eboni, because you mentioned it. Can you tell us what? And let me correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I'm not a medical professional. But when you talk about reading heart, blood pressure and monitoring its diastolic and systolic rates, right? Like that's.
Yeah. So like normally, you mean like is like within normal range, or
Yeah.
like
What's the normal range?
listen, that's really important for people of color, period.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize like 120 over 80, right, is like the normal like blood pressure range. And then they have like the technical term would be hypertension. Well, there'll be like some people that come in and they'll get admitted and they're like, oh, my blood pressure is 170 over 90 or 100. That's normal for me because I ate so and so. And I'm like, no, that's not normal. Like, people don't realize if you don't have your blood pressure under control, that can cause you to have a stroke. And it's so important. And that was the reason, like, a lot of people, when they have like pounding headaches sometimes, like I know somebody who thought they were having migraines. I was like, have you ever got your blood pressure checked? Oh, I don't have no blood pressure problems. I don't have this, right, but did you check it? Like normally you just don't wake up. We don't become born and instantly have blood pressure problems. Like things happen in your life, our body changes over the years. Like we have to learn and we have to take care of ourselves to know that there's something going on. I knew for me, I was like, where are these black spots coming from? Like I couldn't see properly and my heart was beating so fast. I felt like I was going to throw up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is a very important. Heart health is just as important as mental health, and we'll get into mental health a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, too, like, I'm gonna just throw a little bit of business out there. When I moved to California, I think maybe my second year in, I actually had an episode where I was hanging out with a friend, and like I just passed out, hit my head on the rock, everything. So the ambulance came. I was in the ambulance, and they cleaning my head up and whatever. We just wanted to, check your blood pressure. My blood pressure was low, like lower than the 120. It was like something like ridiculous, like 70 or 75 or something like that. And it was just like, dude, like we need to keep you in the ambulance until your blood pressure goes up. Mm-hmm. And what they basically said was, when it did, and they were, when it was about to reach it, it was just like, dude, like you basically like your heart reset itself. And, it was like, it's rare, but it happens. And so, that's when I kind of just started to pay attention to, heart health and paying attention to, okay, I need to start working out and, getting on hikes and make sure that I just keep the rhythm of keeping my health and Ruthie started joking because she was like, you get out of California, start eating paninis and but I started paying attention to heart health, and I mean I'm pretty much a pescatarian now. I mean I really watch what I eat, monitor all my intake. I count calories. I do the whole nine because it's a lifestyle. It's something that you need to do if you want to extend your years. You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's like you lifting weights. You don't just get a six pack by eating. You know what I mean? You got to go to the gym every day. It's a hit. You got to watch what you eat. You know what I mean? Like everything, you just got to pay attention to keep it moving. So saying all that to say, it's very important that people understand all of the things that's important with curating your body and knowing the like you said that heart range of that 120 over. I'm sorry, you said 120 over 80, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very important number. Because anything outside of that is just like, okay, I mean, obviously you have variances, but you want to make sure that you stay on top of that. 1,
yeah, because low blood pressure is just bad. Because then, like what you had, they would call it like a syncopal episode. But a lot of people who they call it like orthostatic hypotension. So when they're like sitting down, their blood pressure is one way. They stand up, it's another. They're laying down, it's something else. And so they'll test it and they'll see when there's like differences. But some people, again, if you don't pay attention to your body, right, then you wouldn't notice that you have these things. So it's like simple things. It's like being slow to rise. Like some people's blood pressures do normally run like a little softer. So they just have to be more conscious of that. That's why it's good to, like, I know we're in this era where everybody's like private, like people in their business, because I am one of those people. However, whoever you're around, the closest person to you, somebody should know something about you. Because I can't tell you how many times people come in and they'll be like a wife, like, significant other, whoever. But they have like a whole ton of medications they take. Well, I don't know. I don't know what that's for. Like, so you're in the house with this person. You don't know anything. You don't know nothing. Is there anybody who's emergency contact? And then they'll put people who's like the emergency contact and they don't know anything because no one shares.
Right.
And then, Donnie, well, Eboni, you probably didn't know, but that's what started my dad's health to started off with high blood pressure. He had a thing for it was what he consumed.
Yeah.
That started it. He was handed on the seasoning. He liked his V8 nasty tomato juice and all.
Bloody Mary, damn it.
And then it led to long-term health problems, which then put him on dialysis. And I believe, what is it called? I don't think it's a stent or whatever it is that they put in the heart or.
There's a stent.
This stent. He had his arteries were clogged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had that, then dialysis, and working off of one kidney. And then after that, you know how draining the dialysis can be.
Yeah. That's draining.
Didn't want to fight that battle no more. And that's out. Yep. So that high blood pressure is something serious. And like you said, especially for African American folks, I believe we all need to pay, close attention to that.
Yeah, we just have to be, because our body structure, it's like been proven, it's not the same anatomically like other people. Like our kidneys and stuff don't function the same. Even when they do lab work, it's this thing called like GFR that measures your kidney function. So they have it for African American and non-African American. So even when they're drawing in labs, like they know that there's a difference. So we have to be more conscious of the things like we put in our bodies, the things that we do. It's crazy. Like I talk to people about like vaping and like, now though, the US is becoming more 420 friendly, right? So I had this patient. I feel like it's a gift and a curse, right? Because we had people come in and the guy's like, but I don't smoke cigarettes. And like, how can I have issue with my lungs? And I'm like, listen, you have to be very careful of where you're getting stuff from. So this guy, whoever he was getting his stuff from, someone sprayed or changed something on the plants, right? And it basically made this fungus like grow off into his lungs. So like he was suffocating. So like I always say, and you can see it like on the x-ray, it literally looked like tree branches just populating all over his lungs and stuff. Like you're too young to be oxygen dependent, right? So like you have to, if you trust these people, by all means, like do it. But even like that and like the vaping, all that stuff is, like I don't do it. So to some people it's like, well, you're just saying that because you don't do it. But I'm just saying like you have to be careful because the things are more toxic. Oh,
No.
You one of them people?
No. I had so she's pointing at me because she knows that I had a stint where I think for about probably got a good eight months to a year. And then I immediately got out once I started to see the numbers and characteristics. I'm both of y'all know I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I read, you know what I mean? So once I started to see the statistics, I was like, no.
Not worth it. You might as well smoke a cigarette. If you're gonna like seriously, like I tell people, like you gotta pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
And I always see that now. Like my floor that I was on, it's like cardiac and pulmonary. So we see a lot of cardiac and lung patients, and you see so many things, and it's so crazy because people don't understand. Like every time you smoke something, that like messes up the perfusion with your body, right? So you need all your blood to circulate, but for whatever people be like, well, I only smoke this amount of time, or I smoke these days of the week, right? But you've been smoking for years. So don't you think eventually some of this is like going to catch up to you? And I always say, listen, if you're content to be out here at any time, that's on you. But for me, I'm trying to be around as long as possible.
Mm-hmm. And then that just brought up a good point with that though, Ebony. But the daggone cigarettes can also, and correct me if I'm wrong, can it stop you from getting certain medical procedures? In other words, my dad couldn't get a kidney transplant, or even though he was on that donor list, because he refused to put down his cigarette.
Yes, because and another thing a lot of people don't know. So with that, right, they want to make sure you're compliant. Because say like if you get a kidney transplant, right, and something else happens again, that instantly puts you back on the list. So think about all those people who are like patiently waiting, right? They want to make sure you're going to be compliant and doing what you have to do. And I see it. Like people like a lot of people need like liver transplants and things like that. I'm not going to stop drinking. Jaundice, completely yellow. And they're okay. Like they're not good, they're not going to want to stop. And then that makes you not meet the criteria for it. And then now I feel like, honestly, doctors and stuff, they're being more honest with people, like family members and people when they're testing. They'll tell these patients like, hey, are you going to do the right thing? Because don't have somebody else go under the knife for you to turn around and do the same thing all over again.
Right.
It's unfortunate when you have a loved one and you care so much and you're trying to tell them to break their habit and they don't listen. That's a frustrating thing. And I'm actually experiencing it in my own self. They don't want to stop their bad habits, but to try to get them to do it is very challenging, man.
Oh yeah, people
outcome what it could be,
Mm-hmm.
What it can be if they stop, but what it could be if they don't stop, and that is just so frustrating for me.
Yeah, and people don't like change. Like I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change, but you start talking to me about dying. What is it? What can I do? I'm serious. Instantly, like different. When that doctor told me, he was like, "Yeah, so this could be the leading cause to your death." I said, "Death? I thought you gave me the medicine." Like he was like, "No, you better like implement a change, and then you work on the things that help you feel better." You know what I mean? Everybody has their own ways to like work through their things, but now sometimes I feel like people have lost like faith in medicine because we have like Google or we have all these things we can get access to, but at a certain point, you gotta listen to somebody.
Yeah. Sure. Miss Pam says she's experiencing that with her husband and the cigarettes too. Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I think the thing, and I was actually about to ask you about that. I mean, thank you for segueing into that. Because us as a culture, Black people in general, it's like we say believe half what you see, none of what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we the biggest. I'm gonna go to WebMD because WebMD said, then you know that's that. Or mom. Shout out to moms. Happy Mother's Day, mom. But we about to do this. Mom had this big thesaurus of medical stuff, like this big dictionary full of
Yeah,
medical stuff.
yeah.
And
It must be a big thing because Linda had one too.
the
Yeah,
book. It's the book. They go to the Bible for medical terminology. If it ain't in the Bible, it don't exist. It's like,
yeah.
okay. But do you think that there is a substantial, like people need to, would you say that is an okay practice, or would you say that that's something that people need to understand that they really need to get and seek counsel in the professions?
So I feel like so WebMD, a perfect example. I feel like they have a really good tool where you can kind of click on your symptoms and tell you like what's going on in your body. Like you can pick on the body, put in your symptoms, and they give you like it spits out what they think it is, right? But at that point, it always says like follow up with a medical professional. The problem is that people don't follow up. They'll go start Googling online. What do they think they should take? What can they do? I mean, like, it's crazy the different things that people will try without just asking someone. And now it's like, because I've seen it a lot with like COVID, and you heard like different stories, like people will go on there. I don't know if y'all seen the stories, like when people were buying like the Plaquenil because they think that, they were using that to treat COVID at one point. But people were buying the Plaquenil that you put in the fish tanks. So it was like, no, bro, go to the doctors. Like, enough with like all this other stuff. Or like, I get it a lot. People say, Ebony, can I send you a picture of this wound? Hold on. Did you just have surgery? No, I don't want to see your wound. Call your doctor. Like, if something is not right, you need to stop networking with all these people. Like, this is not you getting a job. Like, this is your health. You need to go see somebody. Or like with Google, we'll have people. So like when people come in, you go to the ER, but then once you get admitted on the floor, they ask you like a series of questions. Because now we're in this, I guess, era where everybody's like into natural and all these herbs and all these different things, but they don't realize they like counteract with like your medications that your doctors give you. And they don't tell your doctors. And then now the side effect is your medication isn't performing to its fullest potential because you're taking something and you're not telling anybody. And I'll have people at the bedside, like sometimes like for like chest pain, they'll give someone morphine, and they'll be like the spouse there. Oh no, he don't need that. It's okay, he'll be fine. Or we'll have this. Meanwhile, he's sweating to death. His blood pressure's through the roof. He's having all this chest pain. Well, Google says you can get addicted to this, or you can do this, or Google that. No, this is what's going on here. Like sometimes you have to tell people, can you like trust us? Like put the phone down. Let me tell you what's going on now, because the internet isn't always there. It'll have people down a downward spiral.
I wouldn't even say the internet is the 100% a reliable source at time, because think about it, go on there and edit it. Just so I would listen to the doctor first before anything, or anybody in the medical field before I research, but then finalize it with
right. And that's why I say it's nice for like a baseline. Like I said, I feel like even like looking at certain medications you take, like sometimes people take medicines, and like a perfect example is like blood pressure medicine. When some people be like, oh, I just take it morning and night, but then their number be them bottom out in the morning, because yes, when they say morning and night, normally they'll tell you like if it's going to be 8 hours, some people do 12 hours. You cannot take your medicine at like 9 o'clock in the morning and then go to sleep, go to sleep 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then take your last pill and then wonder why you're dizzy in the morning and you're falling down, because you're not taking it the right way. Or people don't read the side effects. They just rip the paper off, throw it in the trash.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that too, because there's a lot of people, a great number of people. Hell, I didn't grow up with people that's like this, but the doctor will tell them to do something, they don't do it, but they do it based off of what they read or what their understanding of it is. Oh, I don't need that because I don't like to over medicate myself and so forth and so on.
Yes.
But they wonder why they don't get the results that come from it. And I mean, I never really understood that principle, but I mean, to each their own. I mean, you'll learn. that's my take on it.
Yes.
Is that you'll figure it out one day. Hopefully, it ain't the day too late, but that's that. But I think people really need to take more opportunity to understand triage,
Yes.
the overall word, because the word itself specifically, if you triage can either make or break your situation 1000%, and I think people just grossly underestimate triage, and I always like to say that too, is like, if you break your foot, don't go to the hospital and be like, my arm hurt.
Right.
I mean, does that make sense to you? I mean, I know you say right, but does that make sense? Because
no, but that's what people do all the time though. They really it would be crazy to you. The things that you hear people say, it's like, well, how long has this been going on? Like, I've had people, I honestly don't even know how they made it. Oh, I've had this chest pain now for a month, and then they'll go and they'll get like a cardiac cath, and they're like, oh, they were like 95%, 90% occluded. Like, it was a whole blockage. Like, why were you sitting around like this for a month? But then you'll come in and just say, oh, I had a headache. Like, you'll find out, like, so the chest pain like didn't trump that you had for a month, did not trump the headache. Like, it's like we have to learn to prioritize ourselves sometime. And I know, like, we all get caught up in things, but we got to do better.
I got a question, Eboni, in regards to that. And no disrespect to you, Donnie, or the fellas, but is it more so the fellas or the guys per se who would just hold out on coming into the emergency room?
Yes, I would say so. I used to work in the emergency room, right? And I will say the only thing that will bring a man straight to the hospital is a STI. If he thinks there's something wrong with him, he will run right to that hospital. But I've had people who tip of their finger be chopped off. They done did something with it all day long, come in late at night in the ER because they think that's the best time. So, well, I figured you cleared out, but you done did this 9 o'clock this morning. Even people having like stroke symptoms. No, they just kind of waited out to see if they feel better. But let something else be wrong, they come in there and they want to talk to you right away. It's a whole conversation. They give you the whole backstory. But that is the only thing. But guys are more stubborn.
Listen, I gotta speak on behalf of all the guys here, since y'all attacking the gentlemen. First of all, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna bring my ass to the hospital if there's something wrong with my genitalia. Okay, if my genitalia is messed up, we need we have an expectation. Okay, we have a level we got an image to uphold. Okay, and we can't take it away from that. No.
But you know what's funny about that reputation, Donnie, is that they'll come in there and they'll say, oh, yeah, nurse, my stomach hurt. Meanwhile, soon you pull the curtain, now you done drop your pants and like, have you ever seen something like this before? Sir, sit down and save that for the doctor. That is not for me. I've had people hand me things in the cup. Here you go. I brought this from home. Put that down on the table. Let's talk about it first. Like, you done made a whole collection and put it in a cup. So, let's revisit it. But so they'll come in one way and then you'll get the truth about what's going on, even with that. Then you get all the answers to everything they did.
Well, I gotta say, I'm not speaking for every man, because I mean, I'm not taking nothing in a cup and then I'm gonna bring it and be like, hey, so what does this mean? Like that. I've never had that before. I don't think I ever will, because like, why? I'm scary like that. So it's just like, at the end of the day, I try to take precautions to prevent myself from having to deliver things in a cup. So that's just whatever. But but you gotta listen, we're not gonna go into that because this is Mother's Day, but we're gonna have to invite you back because we gotta have this conversation, because I think there's plenty of women out there too that's very stubborn.
I've seen a lot. I'm not discrediting that. All I said was the only thing I see men urgent about coming to the hospital for is to be tested. That's my point.
True, but do you think that it's also too because there's a conditioning too that when you said little boys running and they fall in the skin they need, oh man up, tough up, you be all right.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas when little girls fall, oh my God, you okay? And it's baby.
You ain't listening, Donnie. Example, a guy that cut his finger off and he's still at home chilling, smoking his stank cigarettes. On that, well, he should have been over there in the ER.
Yeah, all day long.
In your kneecaps.
Okay, let's push pause on this. Ms. Pam said they had someone bring green stuff to urgent care. Now I don't know what orifice that came from, but if it's green, that's bad. Okay, green does not mean go in medical terms, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so that's incorrect. That is the correct spelling of get your ass to the hospital should be different than that right there. Green stuff. I don't even understand what's going on with that.
I mean, that's an unfortunate case right there.
Listen, I'm glad you said that, Ruthie. Let's understand the power of the word unfortunate. People grossly underestimate the word unfortunate. It has a lot of humor to it. It's very true. It's the thank you. I knew we brought you on for a week. Unfortunate is Ruthie will tell you. That's my favorite word. I use it all the time.
It really is. People tell me things like that's unfortunate. Like I got nothing else. Like I don't have no follow up, and they'll be looking at me like, "Eboni, no, that unfortunate, and it's none of my business." Are my two favorite phrases.
Listen, we don't even really talk like what I'm saying, like every day or whatever. And you walk way across the country, but I say it the same exact way. Oh, that's unfortunate. And people are like, you're a butthole.
Yeah, it's
unfortunate though. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever. I love it. This is a great conversation. This is definitely a great conversation. Let's change topics though, because we leaned on this, and this is good information for those who's gonna watch it. We probably gonna have to come bring you back on here anyway.
I have questions.
You got questions?
Well, it's gonna take too long, but I really love that medical stuff. I can go all day and talk to her about it.
We need to have a medical segment.
Yeah,
that's what we need to do. And Eboni, we're gonna have to bring you back.
Yeah, we get chopped up to talk about a lot of different things.
Yeah. As Dr. Eboni.
Oh, yeah. I wish I was a doctor to get that check.
Well, guess what? You could be Dr. Eboni on our show for sure. Yeah. Because if you really, the president was like, "Oh, just put bleach on it," and
oh, child, and they was in the ER too with them, trying to get it up.
Yeah, so you can just bleach and shoot it in there and cleans everything. Jesus, we was blinded by the light. Anyway. So Ruthie, let's shoot over to you really quick, and then we're gonna get to the hot topics. But I wanted to ask you, how did you get into the interior design field? For those people that want to know.
Because it's kind of like having OCD and a mixture of art too as well. So you can't put me in a room with 4 walls and it's just blank. To me, it's like a blank canvas when I see it. I can't stand blank walls. I have to fill it in. Something has to be there, and especially the home. Your home is your sacred space. I don't know about you guys, but when I go out to the open world and I come back home, I just need peace. That's my sanctuary there. And so I like to form my space to me, and even for others, I would like to make their space into whatever is comforting for them. So I look at interior design as art. Being able to be a homeowner, you now get to explore, do different crazy things. I hate the whole cherry wood furniture. That's old fashioned to me. That's old school to me. But there's different styles of interior design. It all depends on where you like to go. I like to think outside the box and be different. And again, like I said, I use interior design as a form of therapy for myself. And, like when we get on the mental health topic, and I will get more into detail about that. But yeah, it's therapeutic for me. And so since I can't get into the medical field, why not bring my other side out of me, the creative side? And that's what made me get into it, just to be different. I'm just very huge on just creating your own space. I think everybody needs to have that one space, that whether it's one room, whether it's the man cave, whether it's the she shed, whether it's for our kids, that's our space. Why not make it the best? I love it. And especially for COVID, when a lot of us were trapped in the house, why not lighten up your space? And I get a thrill out of it. It's fun. It's very fun to me. And that's what got me there.
The interesting thing is that like you said, it's like an open canvas.
Mhm.
I really gain an appreciation for art and what exactly art is. Most people think art, you think paintbrushes, or you think, getting painting and putting a painting up. You know what I mean? But art is really just expression.
Yeah.
This is you taking a vision and putting it and creating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be musically inclined. It could be aesthetically inclined. It could be something in the house. You could be a doctor, or you could be just like an artist with how you do your surgery. You know what I mean? How you, shoot, Ebony, and you tell me if you disagree. People who draw blood, there's an art to that, right? There's a science.
Yeah, because there's some people, they're a guarantee, like one shot they got it. And there's some other people that's like, oh, I'll get it, but it's gonna take a few times.
I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me tell you. It was one time I had a double kidney infection. Ricky, I'm sure you remember this. I went to the doctor, Southern Maryland Hospital. Yeah, I'm calling you guys out. Lady, I think she jabbed me something like 6 times. Couldn't find my vein. I wanted to kick her square in her face. Every single time, yo. I was like, I don't even understand how you can't find it. It's right here. I'm looking at it. It's blue. You know what I mean? Like, get it. And she could not get it. She could not. She had to call somebody else in to get it. And that that person got it one time. I was just absolutely, that person just needs to be, I don't know, whatever. Kick her in her face, bro.
She need to work at the front desk.
Hey man, she need to take her talents and she need to wrap herself up in a plastic bag and set herself out by the curb. Just throw the whole body away. It's trash. Real. Okay.
Thank you guys.
What's up, C?
Hey guys, thank you.
I'm Bonnie Stacy Kumar.
Yeah.
Aww.
Everyone, I'm all waving with my comb in my hand. Sorry.
Yeah, you waving with your phone in your hand. Da da da. So anyway, current aspirations, projects. What are you guys currently working on? Current projects that you're aspiring to, or something that you're working on that you like? You know what? If y'all only knew I had this joint rocking. What is it?
Currently I'm working on my master's. It's like for leadership and healthcare administration. So that's important to me because I want to rub elbows with the people I know make nervous, because a lot of people don't know how to take me. Like I am a little bit of a smart ass, right? But I'm like really serious and passionate about the things that I do. So I feel like I had a doctor once tell me, like, don't stop where I'm at. Like, we need people like you, because I'm not like the employee that complains and doesn't have a resolution. I'm the person like, listen, here's the problem, and this is what we can do to try and fix it. And then, but when you're just the employee, right, like none of that stuff matters. Somebody will take your idea who's in a position of power and run with it and just like, oh, look what I did. That's so great. So I feel like if I put myself in that position, then it'll be better, because we need to, as a Black woman in this day and age, it's time to like start to diversify healthcare, because we don't see enough of that. There's not enough like people of color in positions. I can't tell you how many people I know that are like nurses or like doctors and say like, don't stop, don't get comfortable making the money, or don't do this, like keep going as far as you can, because like we need more people like you. And it's a shame because certain people get to a point and they're just like, all right, I'm cool with this here, but I really like want to change things. I feel like I have so many different things that I want to do now that I got older. I don't know if I always said I think I had ADD and I didn't know it, because my mind be everywhere of all these different things I feel like I could do. I just got to learn how to do it. But my new thing is I really want to start buying and flipping houses. But I got to do the research, because like if I do something, I'm not impulsive. Like I got to have a plan. and then execute my plan, because I'm not going to fool and mess up my money. So I need to know like the right way to do it. But that's why I want to be like a jack of all trades.
Let me ask you this. With regard to understanding flipping houses and so forth and so on, do you believe that there is a science to it, or do you believe there's an art to it?
I really feel like it's like a combination of both. And I only say that because I've talked to several people who do it. And like my one friend, like he just has a formula. Like, this is what I do. Like, strictly, I don't spend this much money. I only do this. I only do this. And I only do that. Mm-hmm. And then I talk to other people, and it's literally like the art of it. Like, they had a plan and they made it work for each house. Like, it's not a standard thing, and it just works for them. And right. They've been successful. But for me, I don't know where I will fall into, because I pay attention, I feel like, to too much detail. So it would be harder for me to go out on a whim without like the actual structure.
With that being said, let me ask you this question. You ever heard of the term breaking glass ceilings?
Yeah.
Could you tell me quantifiably where, like what altitude you have to hit in order to break through that glass ceiling?
Yeah, there's none.
Because it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the reality of it is that what's the facts about, and this is just me saying, you know what I mean? I'm not an expert in any of it.
Yeah.
But my takeaway from it is that if you want to get into that, the only way to truly flip a house is to have a house to flip.
Mm-hmm.
So just sit back and read and do all the studying. I got to get all of this and I got to do all of this to actually. At the end of the day, you find a house in a neighborhood that you think would make money, and then go get that house. And then make sure and doctor it up, call in Ruthie Renee to go in there, interior design the joint, go into the business together, split profits or whatever, and then you flip that house.
That would be a good thing. I'm gonna be honest. The only another thing that gives me a desire to do it, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but I'm saying it anyway. I rarely dream about my dad, ever. I've had 3 dreams about him since he's been gone. Every time I dream about him, it's like I'm looking for answers, or like if I feel like I'm doing the right thing, right?
Yes.
So like this last dream, like he was like, you could do it, like you gotta have faith in yourself. And he was like, you and Sheena should go into business together because y'all do great things together. And it was like a whole conversation. I was like, damn, like I ain't had a dream in God knows probably like 5-6 years now. But when it's something like really on my mind, and that makes me like want to pursue it like even more, because I feel like if I really put my mind into it, I mean by research, it's more like people are like, you gotta find some really cool contractors that like really be on their A game, not taking their time and like stringing out everything, because the sooner you flip it, the more you can make a profit and go on to your next thing. So that's what I mean by just like knowing the right people and learning how to network that.
I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. Totally. And we hope you do that. There's nothing to it but to do it. Doing it is doing it. Thinking about it is thinking about it. It's just that simple. But you definitely have broken enough ground and broken enough glass ceilings as to where that could be just the next step to your climb. You know what I mean? So definitely hope you break through that point. And same thing with you, Ruthie. I mean, how do you feel about what's your next steps?
No, and actually, Eboni, just did you say as far as flipping houses and all that? I definitely want to talk to you, because that's something I've been working on the side as well, doing research. And there's a platform. A guy that I went to school with, he established a platform. I think it's a RQ 360, but it's a portal with all contractors looking to do business. So I even want to put myself in the portal as well, but I'm still building up my portfolio at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a whole platform filled with contractors, and they're on standby for those who are flipping their houses or housing investment and so forth. So that's one thing I really want to talk to you about, that if we can.
Yeah.
That's something you want to do, or at least if I could pass on that information to you to help you out of that end as well.
Yeah.
But besides flipping houses, Donnie, I also thought about branching off a little more interior design and just interior design. I wanted to do more of like establishing the state business as well for model homes.
Okay.
I find pretty fun as well, but I have to figure out where I store all of my equipment and all of that. So I'm still again doing my research and also trying to get actually fully certified, because I could wing it in the local neighborhoods with friends or family who may know, hey, I need you to do this and that. But in order for you to become, or in order for me or whatever the case may be, to become professional, I have to become now nationally certified and fill my credentials. But then there's one last opportunity that I have in my eye. And I think I'm getting ready to step forward with that. Our county here in Maryland finally received grants or funding for people to sign up for to paint murals throughout the town of Upper Marlboro. That's why I met here in this area.
Oh.
And that's something I always wanted to do. I'm a little nervous. They wanted one where you could paint portrait or abstract. I'm more the abstract person. Donnie is more the portrait type. So I think I want to take it beyond. I just want to see how far I can go with it, and I just want to keep challenging myself. It's a little scary, but I think I'm gonna do it. And just those three things right now is actually what I'm. I don't like to do too much talking. I just like to let my work go for itself and just pop up out of nowhere. And so Donnie, that's why at times I didn't know you can do that. I don't say too much. I just do it.
Yeah, that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by all accounts, I'm the same way. I just like to show you more than I can tell you. At the end of the day. And a correction to the statement. I'm actually more of an abstract person myself. I just can do portraits. But the difference to me between portraits and abstract is that there's more critical eyes toward portraits, because you said that there's an expectation that's set. It has to look exactly like this thing. And then comes the eyes, then comes the judgment. Oh, well, why is the eye look over here? Or why is the nose over here? Whereas the abstract is, look, I would just flick this brush, whoop,
and that's art.
Voila.
People don't understand that difference, though. Some people don't think abstract is art. And I think those are the ones who's kind of like narrow-minded or really don't understand art and the different levels in it. Because
I think it's a difference between narrow-minded is a very negative term, and I'm not saying that you're wrong for saying that at all. It's my belief on it. When you say stuff like when a person says stuff like people being narrow-minded, it's always abrasive, right? People are like, what you trying to say? Like, I'm stupid or whatever. I just look at it from the perspective of people who they're an amalgamation of what it is that they've grown accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they don't see your dream. I've had experience that. I mean, hell, I've been in doing music since I was I don't know 6, 7. You know what I mean? And there's still people to this day that don't know I do music, and I roll with them heavy. You know what I mean? There's people that don't understand the depths of all of the things that I do, and all I do is just achieve. Like I said, to me, I feel you can't make a purchase without anything in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by having stuff in the bank is a widget. It's currency. It's barter. It's trade. You have to have something in order to get something. You can't just walk into it and be like, hey, can you get this? Give me this, and so forth and so on. They're gonna be like, well, what you got? Well, I don't got nothing. Well, you can't have it. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, is that to me it's the basic principle. When you talk about entrepreneurship, you talk about ownership. I think that's the thing that Black people overall don't get, is that learning how to own. There's a process. You know what I mean? Learning how to do art. There's a process. You know what I mean? It's not about what everybody else thinks. It's about what do you think, and how much do you stick by it, and how do you perfect your craft and perfect your product? Because if you look at everything that you do as a product, you'll instantly see the dividends of it. So Eboni, in your case, like let's say for instance that you are a phlebotomist, right? And every transaction that you have as a phlebotomist, it's like pristine because you take the time to craft it. That's what you're known for. You build a brand that way. A brand is not what people. It's not what like a package like this mug. A brand is what do people know you for?
Yeah. I like with the piggyback what you're saying, it paid off for me. So like I was in the dental field for 8 years, right? So when I left, I had a few like dental colleagues that I knew that were like around my age, and they were like starting new like new offices, or they were having like issues with billing and everything. I worked all over the office, so I knew like the ins and outs on how it would run. And the one guy, my friend was like, listen, can you help me out? And I'll give you like a couple $100. I just want you to look over my claims. So I was like, this, like, what? Literally going in the system, I was like, oh, you don't got like your MPI linked to this. This is this and that. This is why that's getting kickback, right? So then I made like $350. Now that don't seem like a lot of money, but it took nothing from me. It was just like the knowledge and stuff that I have. See, I'm not artsy, right? I don't have none of that talent. I told you I don't have no talent. All my art would be abstract art, because they would just look at it and be like, this is not it for this girl. Like, I don't got nothing. But the stuff I do know it, I like took it and ran with it. And then it became, oh, can you help my other buddy out? And I told him that you have a consulting fee, and then you'll charge them. I was like, a fee? Like, I didn't even think about that. But that was one person, because I helped him. He was like, yo, you saved me so much money. He was about to fly somebody out to come to the office to look at things. And here I'm like one person. So that like helped me network. So what you're saying, like for like bartering, it like worked out, because you need some dental work, you need something, what do you need, like what can I do to help you? So I just used my tool, which is like my knowledge, and it worked out. So sometimes I always say, like, all the stuff we learned, you got to invest in yourself. Like, we're self-investments. Like, all that talent you got, Ruthie, like I would never be able to do that. But like the right person, you do the one great thing for one person, they gonna keep saying, oh, I got that person for you. Mm-hmm. Here, ask this person, and they gonna keep spreading the word. And when they was spreading that word for me, that was the time when I needed it, because I was a single parent. So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And like I said, and just so, like you said, not having the creative bone in your body to be able to put stuff on canvas. I'll give you a something to juxtapose against. Like, and this is just my opinion. I don't know if you have seen. Did you guys know that Jim Carrey does art, like paints?
No.
Yeah, he does political paintings, kind of like how Ruthie. I know you know who Twitter Picasso is.
Yes, I do.
So Jim Carrey does portraits like in the style of Twitter Picasso, where it's just like, okay, cool, this is, and they're better than Twitter Picassos. I mean, just aesthetically, they're just better. But he's no shape, form, or fashion is he a Van Gogh or a like accomplished Basquiat. You know what I mean? Like, but my thing is this: you create who you are, and once you become relevant, then you can do whatever you want to do. You can be an interior designer and so forth and so on. That's why you have these influencers. That's what the whole term about being an influencer is creating enough people looking in your direction that say, I think this is important. And it's just that simple. And even if you just do it like a hangman joint, you'd be like, oh, this is a head right here, and this is a stick, and this is look at the smile. You know what I mean? But they all want that Eboni Morales joint because everybody knows you, because you put in the work. You know what I mean? And I think that, again, it goes back to what my agenda is and my thought process is that we all have traits of ownership. We just don't know how to. We weren't ever taught. Whereas in other races, people are instructed. It comes, it's just passed. They teach you how to own, how to put yourself in position, how to not spend your money, or how to trick the system in order for you to find ways to financially stay afloat. Whereas in our culture, no, we left to fend for ourselves.
Yeah, there's not enough, like I said before, like enough generational wealth. It's like we get to a certain point, and then what's crazy is, as I've been like dealing with people of like all age groups, and I've noticed it more like due to COVID, people think like literally my kids will be straight because I got life insurance. And it's like, no, life insurance is not generational wealth. Unless you're like leaving somebody millions and millions of dollars. Like, I don't know when did Black people think that life insurance was like generational wealth. It's like, and I don't look at it that way. I just would love to be able to have something, even if my kids didn't want it, that would help generate some type of revenue for them, even if it's not life-changing money. If it's something that they could depend on every month for like the rest of their life or a good portion of their life. That's where I'm trying to be at.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
nobody teaches us that.
No, they don't.
Well, that's because again, there's a whole other conversation with that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we have to be open enough to understand exactly where we land with things and put the pride to the side to be able to pick yourself up from that and become what you're supposed to be. And that's where destiny to me comes in the frame, right? But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, at the end of the day, I mean, you guys are accomplished with what it is that you're doing. You guys do put in the work, and I mean, these are definitely big steps in the right direction in order for you to gain exactly what it is you're looking for. Because you're aspiring for it, and at least you know that there's things out there and tools in place in order to put you in the direction of which you're headed. So kudos to both of you, seriously. I had to truncate this because we are a little over time, but we'll keep this as close to time as possible. We had to bypass the hot topics. That's my favorite section, but it is what it is. No worries. But I think this has been flowing nonetheless. I want to ask though. The question reads: what are your thoughts on COVID-19? But I want to sit specifically, since we're kind of past pandemic and everything is open back all the way up, pretty much nationally. What are your thoughts on the vaccines associated with COVID-19?
So, if I'm going to be honest, I am a person who is not vaccinated yet, which probably sounds crazy because, right, I work in healthcare and they say you put it at risk. We put ourselves at risk. However, everything that I've been doing this past year and a half has been helping me remain safe. From my personal opinion, I work multiple jobs, right? So at my one job, if I was to ever get a vaccine, it would be Pfizer or Moderna. I would not do the Johnson & Johnson's one stop vaccine for the simple fact I personally didn't like the side effects that I seen. So my other job is at an urgent care, right? So it was a supermarket and a Walgreens were doing a vaccination clinic. And these people were instantly coming to the urgent care with symptoms I had never seen. And that freaked me out because people were having problems breathing, their pulse ox. This woman was I run 5 miles a day. She's pulse oxing in the 80%. That's not normal. You're a healthy, fit woman. You got this shot. You literally don't take any medications because we asked this stuff, and then look how you're showing. So just different things. I've seen people, their heart rate go into irregular rhythms when they've had previous histories of it before. But if you haven't had this issue in 5 years, and now you get this vaccine, and then less than an hour later, you're having all these issues, that's a concern for me. I'm not anti-vaccine at all. I do believe in getting vaccines. I get the flu shot and stuff every year. I just want to see more of the science and stuff behind it. What are going to be the side effects? Mm-hmm. But to play devil's advocate, my mom, my mom, she's 72 and she was thinking about it. And of course, she still works, wants to be out in the public, and she wanted to protect herself. I think it's great for people who, if you feel in sound mind it's the right thing for you to do, then to just go ahead and do it. I was supportive for her doing it. I like the vaccine and stuff that she picked. I've seen side effects from it from other people that I work with, so I kind of knew what was the worst. The worst case scenario, you're going to feel you had a cold. That's okay. People who've had COVID before, sometimes their side effects are worse because they already had it. So the vaccine just makes it, they exacerbate the symptoms, makes it a little worse for them. So I was in support of that. As far as myself, I'm just not there yet. And I feel like, too, another thing I don't agree with is that I just wish people would be aware that, yes, you did get this vaccine, right? But it's not anti-COVID. It does not mean that you're not going to get it. I've tested people and swabbed people who've had both vaccines, and they say, oh, I'm fully vaccinated. I don't wear a mask. And you sit around people. And I've said, like, you have to just be careful, because my thing is, say all of us are here together, right? And y'all assume, oh, Eboni's a nurse, I'm sure she's vaccinated. What if we never talked about it? And you just assume. And like, how many people are really telling you the truth? Like, you have to protect yourself, because you just don't know. And I know firsthand, like at my other job, I had a nurse tell me, well, I wear my, because they get like a plaque that shows they're vaccinated. And she's like, well, I wear it as a badge of honor. These are like credentials. I'm like, no, they're not. But they like, some people like, it's like they're like, think they're like more superior. So I feel like, if say like, there's a lot of weak-minded people, and I hate to say it like that, but some people don't like standing alone or not like being part of the crowd. So like, what if you're there around two people who haven't been vaccinated, and they're like, yeah, I got it, and they haven't, because they don't want to say that they didn't get it.
Of course. Yeah.
So then you still have to like protect yourself. And because I've seen so much from COVID, doesn't matter like how old you are, and the loss and the different things I've seen from people, I feel like, yes, we're opening back up again, but I'm still scared.
Right. Ruthie, what do you think?
So I have multiple reasons. I'm also one of the ones who have not taken the shot. I don't have any plans on taking it anytime soon, maybe in the near future. And my reason is, one, I'm tired of medication being started by different vaccines. Because of the military, we were like a guinea pig. You got everything you could think of, down to anthrax shots, everything you could think of. And when COVID came along, if you really sit back and research, you will realize that when these labs or whoever put them together, when the labs for the vaccines are put together, it takes a while. It's not rushed. You know, they're thoroughly testing it out and coming up with a list of side effects in it. You will know, who it affects, whether it's by the race, the gender, whatever it may be. But with this vaccine, it came out too fast, and I don't trust it. I don't trust it right now. And then what this also topped it was, one day I was watching the news, CDC came out talking about zombies. So I said, here we go with this nonsense. And all I can think of, if any of y'all watch it, is The Walking Dead. And you think about how the first season started, everybody got that shot, and then they just walking around here looking all crazy. Then I go on Instagram the other day, a lady chewing on a guy's neck and took a piece of chunk out of his neck. She took that shot too. She took Johnson & Johnson. And that's why I don't want to do it. I'm not about to be out here chewing on nobody's neck. I'm not about to all kind of, man, I'm about to chew up my women's one a day. I'm about to get some elderberries. I'm about to do nasal stops.
Herbal tea.
I'm gonna eat celery. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, let me get some sea moss.
I'm ready at this point. It came out too fast. I'm not saying I won't get it.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna play it safe. And Ebony, you brought up a good fact. Like, people get the shot, and it's just, I'm taking off my mask. I'm going to go fly now. They're helping my stocks go up doing the back end though with traveling, but I'm not going to do all of that. I'm not ready to just branch out there yet, and that's where people forget. They forget about the simple things like that. And you're not going to make me get the shot just because you got the shot. You're not going to talk to me. I'm gonna do it at the time when I'm ready to get the shot. I'm just not for it right now.
I hear it, and I agree. And I too have not yet got the shot. I'm seriously considering not getting the shot. I think there's a lot of things to be considered that most people don't think about. First of all, to this point, to my knowledge, because I could be wrong, none of these vaccines have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration.
Mm-hmm.
None of them.
I think on forward now. Their application. I think Pfizer.
Okay. That sounds great, but I need them to say it. I need to see the credentials. I need to see the seal of the greatest government of the United States. Mm-hmm. Like it be like the I to be on a dollar bill or whatever. Like e pluribus unum or something. I need to see that seal. I need to see some affidavits to say that this is approved. Because as you well know, anything that is not approved by the Food and Drug Administration is not allowable. That's like marijuana was not approved by the Food and Drug Administration over the years, which is why up until now, recently, with them allowing it, there was a lot of kickback. So there is that. Okay, so it's not approved. So that's number one. Number two, as everybody said, it's like, oh, okay, it's not COVID proof. Then what the hell are we taking it for then? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, just to be able to say, okay, it's safe to walk around. And you wonder why people take the mask off and take all this stuff, because they're thinking and they're bamboozled to believe that, oh, you know what? Hey, whatever. I got the shot, so I can take it off. No. You know what I mean? It's not really, if it's not COVID proof, if it's not approved by the Food and Drug Administration, what the hell are we doing? That's just two of my three. The third part of it is, for me, I'm not putting shit into my body if it wasn't there to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's what the vaccine is. The vaccine is you shooting that shit into you in order for your body to build the antibodies up against it to be able to fight it. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and then can I just piggyback what you're saying, right?
Sure.
Another reason why I did not get it is I've had people who had COVID in like September or October, right? Tested negative, right? Came back and caught the second wind of it at the top of the year. What did they say? The natural immunity is the best immunity, right?
Absolutely.
So once I seen, hold on, you're back. Like, what you doing? And you're back and you're admitted in the hospital. There's plenty of people get COVID and they're not admitted in the hospital. But when I'm seeing you, now you're back on the floor and you already had it. I was like, yeah, I'm not there yet. Like, I don't know what you could put in this vaccine that's going to be better than natural immunity. I don't know what it is. So I'm just not there yet. And like I said, like, I'm definitely not an anti-vaccine person, but for this year, and another thing is for women, what I always say, and I've talked to other people about it, like younger people in childbearing age, everything women do affects fertility, right? So like if you can't drink coffee, well, you're not supposed to, like caffeine, alcohol, everything that you put in your body like affects you like long term, like fertility wise. How do they know what's going to happen to these women of childbearing age? Like they don't know all of these things. So like that's something to think about. Like you're thinking now you're in maybe your early 20s, now you're getting this thing, and then years on down the line or whatever, you may want to start a family. You don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Oh, it's going to be that commercial. Did you take the vaccine 10 years ago? And are you this some weird stuff. Because
they doing a group lawsuit. They want you to call the 1-800 number. No, see, I'm just not there yet.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's my whole thing. I'd rather be not have it, than watch everybody else, because they got people who, like you said, who's had serious side effects. Now, there's a whole Facebook group of people that had COVID, where they done lost fingers in their hand and their toes and so forth.
I know somebody personally who's lost their foot.
See what I'm saying?
And I'm not, and literally got it from occupational exposure, just going to work, doing his job, and have recovered from COVID, and the side effects, well, the aftermath of that, from dealing with all the different things, is he lost his foot because he had a blood clot. And they had to amputate his foot. And this was a completely healthy person. And that's one of the things that used to infuriate me. Like, oh, well, you only get COVID if you do X, Y, and Z. No, that is not true. I've seen people younger than me die, older than me die, and they weren't taking nothing but a darn vitamin. So, it's very hard when I feel like other people have like these misconceptions of what they think it does. Like, you imagine being somewhere not being able to breathe. And I always tell people, like, when your allergies act up and it's like, oh gosh, it's like the worst thing. We can't even handle that. Imagine being somewhere and not being able to breathe and you're alone. And let me tell you, every last person I had who told me I'm not going to beat this thing did not make it. So imagine having that on top of not being able to breathe, having that feeling like I'm going to die and I'm not going to make it. And it must be something that they feel, because the patients that I know that told me that did not make it.
Yeah.
And see, and again, I'm not knocking nobody who has taken the vaccine.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm just not there yet.
Right.
I'm just not taking the shit. I'm like
See, my concern for me is because I work in healthcare at some point. So like right now in the state of New Jersey, it's a state mandate for us to have the flu shot. So I can't get out of that. The problem is what's going to happen if they mandate this vaccine.
This becomes the greater problem. The problem that I have with it is that how are they mandating that you have to have it when it's not approved by the government? So you forcing people to take something that's not approved, and that nobody's saying anything. Everybody's just like, "Well, I just got to go take it." Like at the end of the day, us as a democracy need to understand what our rights are. You can't force me to take this crap and put this in my body when I don't know how my body's going to react to the virus itself, let alone the vaccine. When y'all tinkering around in a damn lab somewhere, that means there's Bob over there who Bob probably went to like, I don't know, Crest University or Homebody University, and we don't know what his credentials are. We don't know what he did, but he invented this vaccine. We don't know if it's going to work. You know why we don't know if it's going to work or not? Because it's not approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And you want me to put that in my body because the government says so? Bro, I'm sorry.
But they're even making the college students do it. New Jersey got a whole list now of all the colleges making it mandatory if these kids want to go to school that they have to get the vaccine.
Yeah, and that's what it is, because I want my son to get that right now. He didn't get the flu shot, okay?
They sent a letter home for G talking about the high schoolers can get vaccinated. No, ma'am, you can go on and bypass that.
Yeah, G better choose some elderberries and
yeah. Listen, I got a whole regimen in this house. I nearly killed everybody between the sanitizing, the Clorox, and everything. I think I taste the lice on my food. That means it's clean. Go ahead, you can eat it. It's all right. You'll be all right.
Let me tell you something. Anybody that know me, that really know me, they know. And Uncle Brian, if you still on this podcast, you can co-sign with me. Me and Uncle Brian was on the staff that did the first anthrax scare in Dallas, where we had to go suit up in the first where they had the mail joint, where I went to the first mail place. We had to suit up with pappers and with the SCBAs and sound like Darth Vader, go on in the little joint to clean and disinfect that whole mail joint. Now, I'm saying all that to say is that I made it out of that and got a breach of my suit in the anthrax joint, which I was scared to death.
Yeah.
This whole time I'd have made it out of the daggone pandemic. I'd had people like, I'm talking about like sitting next to me, call me the next day. Yeah, I got COVID. You might want to go get checked out. And I never caught it. Never had a symptom. Knock on everything that's wood.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing all of that now, why the hell would I want to desecrate my body to put a vaccine to protect me from getting it? I think I'm doing a good job right now. I'm not getting it. I don't need your pandemic witchery to say, oh, I got it, so I can show the card on social media like I'm cool. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Not to disrespect anybody who has done it, because we all do it for whatever reasons.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You do it for yourself. Now, maybe if I was somebody who had a whole bunch of health problems, like real bad, maybe I would consider. No, that's not me. I will continue to suit up. We look like beekeepers when we put our shield, all that stuff on. I will continue to suit up and keep doing what I'm doing at work and being okay with it.
Ebony, you see a baby on here. She talking about she.
Yeah, she said she was never doing that. Gigi said I was never taking that vaccine.
That's my girl. She know better. I seen that email, child. Don't pay that no mind. We ain't doing that here in this house. We ain't doing that.
And we actually got not Sean said he's watching us at work right now. Shout out. Let's go to another real quick question too, because I'm trying to skim through this. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's split this really quick. Thoughts about the importance of mental health?
If I could say mental health is so important, I always tell people like I'm like a several different kind of friends. Like I'll be like, is this a venting session? Because I'm a really good listener, right? And then because then there's sometimes people just need to talk and they don't want to hear nothing, right? They just want to get it off their chest and feel good to know like the person you telling it to ain't going to tell nobody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's sometimes people need to hear things back, right? And what I've learned like through this pandemic, before this pandemic, and just personal experience, sometimes like you ever see somebody crying, you be like, oh my gosh, what this person want, right?
All the time.
But then you'll hear like, dang, this person was in a dark place and all this stuff. And people like have regrets, right? And sometimes people need to hear simple words. As I always tell people, like, it's okay to choose yourself, right? Because if you don't choose you, who's going to choose you? Like, you got to always say, like, protect your peace, because a lot of people have the habit of when their life and stuff is spiraling and falling apart, they start pulling everybody else around them and they want them to feel the way that they're feeling. And unless you're going to, and I feel like I'm a really patient person, but I'm not an enabler either. So if you're not going to do nothing to change your situation and try to get you some help, because there's all these like different resources for help, I can only like do so much, because I've learned that people, we're quick to like take a pill or they self-medicate or they'll do whatever they think that makes them feel good, but you don't really want to put in the work to get in the root of the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's simple. Like I said, for me, when I went to that therapist, I'm telling you, I felt so good. I literally was calling everybody, I had therapy, this was great, and all this other stuff. But then you work through what are your things that like trigger you. I think because like I always got something smart to say. Like people like, really, you got anxiety? Like I can't imagine it, and this and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like I really am a creature of habit. I don't like a lot of chaos. I don't like, I always say like I think I have some noise issues because I don't like to be overstimulated. Like quiet down. Like why is it, what's going on? I'm to the point where I even know where the TV's too high. Who turned that TV up? Like I'm that mom. So like I know these things that I have to work on, and it's hard. But some people, like Ruthie, you said like your art and stuff like that's your therapy, right? So at least like when we talk about medications and putting things in our body, there's so many different things people could do to eliminate from taking the medicine if you just figure out what works for you. And you got to do the things that works for you personally. Like I know for me, I always be like, all right, guys, I want to go have me some quiet time. And I got to have some time to myself because that's what makes me feel better when I'm on edge. And it's harder because like when I'm at work, soon I walk through the door. I always tell people at the hospital. That's why I think I have like a great deal of respect for no matter what people do, right? Because the moment we walk through that door, everybody needs something from us. I never work a shift where somebody doesn't need something from me all the time. And I have to be their best Ebony. I can't be in my feelings, in my stuff, because these people need to make sure they're going home. But then in sense, when you come home and you're a mom, it's like came home this morning. Two people was here. My husband was here. Gianna was here. What Mike could say, so you see me. Mommy, I'm hungry. I'm starving. Da da da. So the moment I come home in the door, here's more people that need me. But it doesn't make me a bad mom or a bad person. It's okay to take some time to yourself because enough people, we don't choose ourselves. And then when you're one of those people like me who's already anxious, now I got to a point in my life where I know a lot of people don't like it and it probably comes across cold, but I'm not. I just can't make everybody problems my problems.
Yeah.
Because I still have to be somebody's mom. You know, I gotta be like, I have to be a good wife. I gotta be like a good nurse. And we just a good person, period. If you keep bringing on somebody else's stressors, it's not good for you.
Right.
And people think like you're being selfish, and it's really not, because I've seen other people like say like I literally have talked to people who started doing drugs because that was their only bond they had with somebody who was close to them. So now you done picked up somebody's really bad habit and your life done spiraled out of control because that was the only way you want to be around. That's the only way you could be around this person. Meanwhile, maybe if you just had enough, I don't want to say like love or nothing like that, but if you just maybe felt a little bit better about yourself, you would have chose yourself besides that person. You know what I mean?
No, of course. Ruthie, what's your thoughts?
Well, of course, like I've been saying throughout this whole segment, I once was afraid to say it, but I'm no longer afraid. I have PTSD and also suffer with depression. I was first diagnosed after my tour in Iraq, 2005 and through 2006. When I first found out about it, it was noise that would trigger those certain symptoms in me, loud noises and all those things. So I seek help and went to a therapist, and then that's how they diagnosed me with it. But you know, I mean, like you said, I would go speak to my dad a lot, and his words were comforting for me, and I learned from that given time that I didn't need medicine. That's what him and I will always talk about. You know, he said, "Well, you don't need that. Try to do things, stay active, like take your mind off of whatever it is that's triggering it." And that there was, he was like my savior in that given moment. I still have my medicine. They're all filled up. The very first doses for the PTSD and the depression, never touched them. Just pick up a paintbrush and paint all day long. But fortunately, my biggest challenge is I feel like it causes me to become an introvert. I know I like to stay to myself now, and the sad part, most of all, is I don't feel like I have that helping hand anymore. So, like you said, if you know somebody is down and out, and they could be whether on drugs, they could be drinking or whatever, and they may not even be aware of their actions. But I can't take negativity from people because what people don't realize is it sparks something in me. So I can either become confrontational with you or, I don't want that. So I have to choose me over over everybody else and keep my sanity, especially not only for myself, but for my son as well. And so I found myself I call myself Gary, like I live under a rock, like a SpongeBob, I stay to myself, and that's where I'm at in life. And I think right now that's best for me. I wish I could come out and be more of a people person, but unfortunately, this is the effects of it, and I refuse to take the medicine. I don't want to do it, but it is definitely real. And if you have or you feel like you need to go seek help, I would recommend everybody to go check it out. And if therapy is not for you, just find whatever works best for you. Like myself, painting, drawing, and being creative is what helps me.
Yeah. I mean, I think my thought process with it is this. It's just, it goes back to exactly what I said earlier in the segment. I mean, in the show, triage. I think the ability to be able to see exactly what's wrong with you and not feel any kind of importance of what's the word I'm looking for? Proud. I'm too proud to say that I have issues, or I'm too proud to say that I'm jealous, or I'm too proud to say that I have issues. You put too much weight on other people, and then you triage the situation, and now you don't know how to because you're fooling yourself and don't know how to fix the scenario. And that's the most non-conventional way of fixing any kind of problem there is, and it's the most dangerous one. You know what I mean? That's like, like I said, that's like trying to tell. So it's like trying to tell a dog he's a cat. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. And I think that mental health is a very big problem, especially in Black culture, because we so quick to say, oh, well, you crazy because you go to a therapist, or I don't want everybody to know I'm going to see a therapist because I don't want everybody to think I'm crazy, because that's not what we do. But what we don't understand is that this is an institutionalization of the culture itself. Whereas these tools are in place in order to make us better, but yet we choose not to do it because of how it looks. At the end of the day, look, I'm not here for everybody else. I'm here for my kids and my family, and that's it. And if my family don't like the moves I'm making, yes, they can suck it too. I mean, I'm just be honest with you.
It's
Flat out. You know, I'm here to do what I got to do for the better of everybody. And that's how I make my moves. So when I go to do these types of things, I need to make sure that I make things with make decisions with a sound head, sound body, and so forth and so on, so that I can empower or enable other people to feel like they can do the same thing. So for me to sit there and talk about mental health and say that, you know, oh well, you know, it's not an important thing. No, it's a very important thing, because you need to know exactly where on the barometer you lie, or on the spectrum that you lie, in order for you to understand exactly how you need to proceed with triaging and fixing yourself in order to become whole for everybody else. Because you won't be able to be whole for everybody else if you have one person yourself.
Yeah, and it's like when you have all that, like, I don't want to say bitter, like all that like negativity and stuff, like I really feel like that like blocks your blessings. Like it's not like, because you're so engulfed in all the bad, you can't even see like the good things, or like when people and stuff are like trying to help you. And now it's like there's so many options and ways for like people to get help. Like I was I was talking to a patient the other day, and she was just like, I feel like I have like these things wrong with me, but she really couldn't like articulate what she thought it was. And I was like, well, there's like websites like I think it's the Mental Health Network, and they have like all these different things, rather if it's like anxiety, PTSD, postpartum. You can literally click on it and ask they're like screening tools, and it tells you like this may be it. And then again, it advised you like to get help, like to go see someone. But at least like for me, it was nice, even though I know when I was like going to see a therapist that I wasn't like crazy, because it was like, am I really expecting too much? Like, like I needed someone to like validate my feelings that did not know me. Like I needed a complete stranger to say, is this really normal? Like this, right? I'm not expecting too much. But I feel like sometimes if people see things like on their own, and then they may be more open to be like, okay, well, my feelings are valid. Maybe there is something. And now I can go on to talk to somebody else, because I can say like, this is how I've been feeling. I think it may be X, Y, and Z. Because a lot of people are like really patient. And another thing is too, like some people do need medicine, and I'm not anti-medicine either, but some people really do need it, but then they're not patient enough to see and they'll let it work. And a lot of people don't know, like especially like with mental health meds, like it's not going to be like, oh, I take it day one, oh, I feel great. No, you probably may not feel any different. You may or you may not, but it takes a few weeks for it to get into your body. And you have to be patient with like the doctors and stuff you're going to. Like if the medication isn't working for you, or if you feel like it's too much, like a lot of people like, I don't want to feel like I'm zonked out or I can't function, then you have to tell them these things too, to find that happy balance. Because then when a lot of mental health and like substance abuse, they go hand in hand with one another, because a lot of people who like abuse substances, they're doing it for other reasons, but they're not willing to go down that road yet to figure out what the issue is.
Right. Right. Big sis, what's up, big sis? She just speaking the truth on there. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now listen. At the end of the day, I mean, we all have. I have yet to meet a perfect person. You know what I mean? In the minute that we all realize that none of us are perfect, you will only become exactly what it is that you seek. If you seek truth, you'll become truth. If you seek higher education, you'll be a highly educated individual. But if you just doomed to kind of just talk about and toil about the same crap that you deal with because that's all you're used to, if that's all you think, then that's all you'll ever be. And that's just my 100% my truth and my belief in it. That does not mean I'm right. That's just my belief. With regard to this last question, and I want to make sure that, I'm going to go over time with this one. We're absolutely going to go over time with this one. I know that for a fact. But I didn't want to truncate this show without this last question, because this is the most important question of the whole show, and I definitely want your honesty. I want your commentary on it. Mom in America, and I guess the question should read Black mom in America.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you today?
being a Black mom in America is the scariest thing to me because I have, I have two children, a boy and a girl, and at some like my son now, he's a relatively big boy. He's 8 years old and he's 4'9". He
Shout
looks
out, Michael.
yeah, he's a lot bigger than what like a lot taller. He looks a lot older than what he is. And it scares me because it makes me think like at some point, like you see that meme, at when does this cute boy turn into something somebody's afraid of? And that scares me. And then I feel like too, as a Black mom, like I have, Giannis Jr., and I know I put like more pressure on her. But I feel like we kind of, at least for me, I know I put more pressure on my kids to like be better because it's a shame that it is that way, but I feel like they have to exceed or have to like want things because things are going to be harder for them. I don't think like even though we're in America and we're 2020 and we live in this very diverse country and up until this point, it has shown things really have not changed the way we thought it has. It's opened up a lot of people's eyes. I feel like, a lot of people say they're woke now. Everybody's like seeing it, and maybe people are being more verbal. But I feel like as a mom, I know I put more pressure on them because I want them to, succeed and do well. But it scares me, even like being an aunt. Like I have grown nephews. You know what I mean? As Black men walking around or just doing anything like that scares me because the one like at any time people's lives can change. And I feel like growing up here with America's supposed to be just so great, we shouldn't feel like this, not in this day and age of just wondering. So I feel like it's a really hard being a mom. I noticed that it forces you to have conversations with your kids you may not want to have at this time. Like I don't want to talk to Mike about the things that's on the news. He's 8 years old. Why can't he just be 8? If there was something going on in the news when I was 8 years old, I wouldn't even pay it no mind.
Right.
But it's literally everywhere. No matter what it is, it's literally everywhere. So now it's forcing you to have those talks and those conversations. And the kids are exposed to so much now. Even if you don't want to expose it to them, I feel like that has been taken away because there's so many things that they see and people just share everything. So it puts you to the point where if you're not communicating with your kids now, like, back in the day, I feel like I don't want to say my parents weren't good communicators, but I feel like there was things you just never talked about. You didn't talk about it. You didn't that was the thing. Now you don't have that choice. If you don't talk about things with your kids now, they're gonna go down the wrong path really quick. Cause somebody else is gonna tell them or they're just going to see the wrong information because there's too many things they can get their hands on. Like younger now, I wouldn't be able to like think about it. If they took the remotes or whatever, I was 8 years old. There was no internet to go looking to see what happened or watch someone be killed on TV from the police. Like if he goes online and just Google or whatever the other search engines are, he's typing in something. There's always videos and clips of things you could just click to see what's going on in the world. He sees that stuff. Now I'm explaining it. And I don't want to put that on him in in this time. Like even he seen the news one time and they were showing shootings in Philly. He's like, I don't want to go to Philadelphia. It's scary over there. They kill people. We can't go there. And look at this bad like misconception. I'm like, we've been there several times, but now we're talking about it. Now you think it's the worst thing ever because of what you've seen. And the reality is, yeah, you're seeing something that's true, but now you have this fear. I don't want you to have that type of fear that young.
Right. That's facts. That's facts. Ruthie, what do you think?
For me, that this here is a very touchy subject, and I would say that because it's always going to be challenging to raise a different gender. Well, male. I'm not a man, so how do I raise a man? A young man on my own. I don't know how. What I noticed, what I did over the course of the years of raising Markeith is like I will kind of shelter him from certain things I knew that just wasn't good for him. So for example, I used to live in this apartment complex, And I had left, went to Cuba, came back home, and he told me some, yeah, nigga, only 5 years old. So I'm like, what's happening here? It was the folks, the kids and stuff outside he was playing with. So I said, nope. I picked him up. We moved further up the county into another area, more of the suburbs. And I did it to try to pull him out of that different environment. So I thought moving him would protect him. I just wanted him to be on the right path growing up. But I also had to come to reality for myself that I also have to expose him at some given time to what reality is and what's actually going on, because what's happening out here is definitely affecting the black male. I mean, the black man. And that one day will be my son as he grows up. And these babies are getting hurt at even at his age, and he's only 12. So last year, when the presidential debate was going on, the Trump and Biden, and they had asked Trump that question like, are you going to tell the Proud Boys to stand down? I had Markeith watching it with me. And I saw him getting upset. He was getting pissed off. And when he finally realized who the Proud Boys was, it triggered something in him. So all I knew was a few weeks later after that, I go in his room, and guess what I see up under the pillow? To me, it's a gun. Okay? Right. It's a gun. And it's every bit of a gun. And it's facing me under the pillow. But he's so crazy, he ain't even put it all the way under the pillow. So I'm looking, I said, I know this is not what the hell I think it is. He's sitting there looking at me. No, it's a BB gun. You know, so nonchalant. And I go to hell off. I go snatching up, thinking it's a gun. I said, nah, Mom, it's a BB gun. And I'm going all for him at this point, Ebony. And I had to calm myself down. And I had to ask him, why? And where did you get this? He said, Mom, it's a BB gun. And I got it right off of Amazon. And I said, you got this off Amazon? He said, yeah. Why did you buy it? I asked him. He said, because when I sat down with you and we watched that debate, when I leave this house, they're going to try to kill me. We need some kind of protection. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't like it. And me exposing that to him made him extremely uncomfortable. I had the longest talk with him. I wanted to reach out to everybody to speak to my son, but I was too embarrassed to do it. Honestly, to this day, I've been embarrassed because some people will say, you're a bad mom, and that's not even the case. This is the challenge of raising a young man on my own, and how do I protect him? It's the question I'm always stuck with. And I said, they have, this generation have access to everything out social media, PlayStation. It's worse than what we had. We played outside. They in the house playing on the game. They're exposed to so much, and it's like, yeah, protect them. And it's rough. It's rough. I just want the best for my child. And it's definitely been an ongoing case for him and I. I've been talking to him. I've been talking to him a lot, and I know that's what I have to do to, keep his attention going on, and also sitting down and explaining things and some things he don't have to fear of. I don't walk around in fear, but I understand it will always be different between him and I. Although the same color, but it will definitely be different for him and I. But I never want to walk in fear. That's what pisses me off, that my baby has to live like this. That's why I only have a child. I was one and done. I learned lesson one. I don't raise anymore through this. I can't. I don't. It's definitely rough in my household being a mom in America right now. Well, a black mom raising a black young man in today's society. It's rough.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not equipped at all to answer that, to speak on that. I mean, I'm obviously not a mom. I will never be a mom, and but I was raised by a strong one. You know what I mean? And my idea for what a mom is, it came from that person. Mm-hmm. And I'll say all this to say is that it's difficult. We're in very strange times. I think even more stranger than things in years past that we grew up watching on and learning about in school. This is very tricky. It's not like back in the day. Back in the day, it was black or white, or fight or flight. Now it's fight, flight. You gotta watch your reputation. You gotta watch. We in cancel culture. Like, you never work again ever because they won't allow you because you say the wrong thing. You know what I mean? It's so many different anomalies to address that we all got to be careful of. And if not nothing else, as parents, I believe that the idea is you need to have a better, freer relationship with your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it the traditional way, the way we was raised. It doesn't work that way. It won't work that way. You lose your kids quick because the kids learn on the cell phone. Damn the streets. They won't even learn. Back in the day, it was either you learn from home or you learn in the streets. Now the kids learn from the cell phone, or learn from what's the damn game, Fortnite or whatever. You know what I mean? Because they get on the headset and then they start talking with the guy while they're playing the games, or their friend while they're playing the games, and then they learn about sex while they shooting on the video game. Like it's very tricky, and you have to really kind of pay attention. You have to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. You can't just leave it up to the TV or the games to raise your child for you. You know what I mean? And I think more people need to take understanding of that. With regard to moms in America, I think moms have always been the stable place in the household, and I don't think that has changed. There are other things I want to say, but I don't think it's the place for it at the end of the day. But I definitely will say I applaud all the moms. This is a glorious day. It's a day that's definitely necessary. All moms should be celebrated, right or wrong, or fail or not fail or whatever. Every mom who's a mom, you need your flowers, because it is difficult and there's a lot of things to be concerned about that you have to endure. So I take my hats off to every mom in America, including y'all two ladies, who still have found success in what it is you're doing, all while being moms. With that being said, we are at time. I do want to ask people, now that people have kind of got to understand who you are, how can people learn more about you? Shout out your how can they find you on social media, any kind of websites, so forth and so on. And also, if you have any shout outs, feel free to shout out.
So IG would be good for me. I'm at, don't laugh, y'all, Cocoa Puffs 83, but it's a real nickname. Had it forever, so I stuck with it. I'm also on Facebook. I think you shared the link below. I forgot exactly what it is, but the IG tag would probably be best.
Okay. Cool. Ruthie?
And happy Mother's Day to everybody watching. This has been great. I would love to do this again with you guys. I think this was really dope. It's nice to do something good with family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of times family get together for sad things, but I think this is great. It's good dialect, good conversation, good perspectives from all of us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it will be so. So
we got to get Eboni back, because I need to talk about some natural things I can do versus taking medicine. Home remedies. I'm gonna talk to you about that.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. This was great.
cool. Ruthie, what's your shout outs and your links? How can people learn more?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the whole family. Definitely got to shout you guys out first and foremost. To all the beautiful mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to you all. And if you want to follow me, I have 2 pages currently. There's the construction, but one of my main pages is Crystal Ball Interiors. That's my interior design page. I also have another platform on Instagram, which is called Mesmerized Creations. Those are more of my my crafty arts. But I'm actually going to pass that on to my niece, Mania. I figured, like we talked about generational wealth, I'm gonna let her go on and take that, take over that platform and start putting money in her pocket. I would have gave it to my son. That's not his interest, so I'm still working with my baby and finding his interest right now. But I knew my niecey poo, she would take that one up under me. So you can find me there on Instagram, not Instagram, excuse me, Facebook, just Ruthie Campbell. Or you can go on my Big Head Brother page. You'll find me somewhere on there talking crap. I'll be there.
Yeah, shout out to Uncle Brian, because he got the biggest head of all of them. You know what I'm saying? But,
Y'all stay having head jokes. That ain't never changed.
have you not seen the dome piece on some of these people walk around here? Good God Almighty!
I got a big head too, so.
Well, it's first of all, it's protection. Okay,
yes.
There's people in the NFL that they got to get fitted for these. I came with it, so I'm good.
That is protection. That's a weapon.
Yeah, for people, because you know when you see the bottom half of your head, like part to hang low, you know what I'm saying? But nah, this is definitely fun, very informative, and definitely you know more. What is the thing on Instagram? Share Black stories, man. We need to do that definitely a lot more, and bring us closer together, because right now it's too easy for us to be divided entirely. Too easy to be divided. And then here go see Uncle Brian. Say already. Go come on here with this.
Shout out to Brian for coming in defending
Uncle
his
Brian, you can
dog.
see me on better day. Father's Day. That's it, you know. But nah, like I said, definitely want to get you guys out. Thank you for taking the time to meet. It was definitely very fun, and I know this has been excruciatingly long for some, but for everybody else, this is conversation. That's all this is. It's no format, and you know, this is not one of these TV shows where it's like 30 minutes, and you get 30 minutes out of it. We extract conversations to have real conversations with real stories of real people. That's what the idea of this show is, and the shows that I do try to associate and create a platform for everybody has a story, man.
Yeah.
And we just need to be more in touch with each other's story. I definitely want to, like I said, take the individual shout outs to Eboni and Ruthie. You guys are amazing. And y'all need to be celebrated, which is why y'all got the call. So we'll have y'all back definitely very soon.
Yeah, I want to do your hot topics.
You gotta
definitely
gotta bring her back.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
All right, we're gonna set that up. We're gonna set that up, and then that way we can start talking about everything. There's something coming up there that we, you know, saying that we're gonna work on it definitely properly. I want to do something that incorporates all of the family and everybody, so everybody has a say. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure that out, but when I get it, trust me, you'll get the call. But we're gonna bring it back on the beat anyway. So that is what that is.
All right, cool.
What'd you say, Ruthie?
Like family trivia games, you know? We do some kind of trivia stuff that only the family would know about, and we all gotta figure out that trivia.
That would be a good idea.
We can figure that out.
Yes.
We can figure that out.
Actually, therapy here. We actually talking.
Yeah, this was good. This was good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
In the words of Lil Jeff, you got that, Ruthie. When he see that, he gonna kill me. But
No, Jeff. Oh, okay, Donnie.
But yeah, okay, Uncle Donnie, or cousin Donnie. But listen, at the end of the day, like I said, I want to say thank you all. Let you guys really shoot for your day so you can get back to your significant others. Happy Mother's Day. I wish you the best day possible. You guys deserve it. And then get back to work and back to the Rick and Barack of everything. Thank you guys for tuning in. All the people that tuned in and engaged with us. Thank you. And then the people who watched this afterwards, please feel free to leave comments in the section as well. Like and subscribe to Eboni Morales. Like and subscribe to Ruthie Renee. And make sure you follow, man. These are actually very highly intelligent people, and these people need to be celebrated. So that is what it is. I'm Donnie B. GotDaBeats. We live on the beat. Hold on, we got one more thing. Oh, and shout out to Miss Pam again, because Miss Pam was up and down this thing in the chat room. We seen you, Miss Pam.
Thank you, Miss Pam.
We love you. But so and hold on. QB, you're supposed to be on this too, but you know, we love you. We love you, Q. We're gonna get you back on for sure. And make sure you like and subscribe to the entrepreneur Quan Barrett. She got a ton of pages on Instagram, which celebrate Instagram and social media that celebrate the plight of moms and mom entrepreneurs. So make sure you like and support her as well. And shout out to sis Chrissy. Love you guys. Love you back. And everybody tuning in, like I said. Nonetheless, Donnie B got the beats. We live on the beat, and we out. Peace out.
Bye, y'all.
Donnie B, GotDaBeats.